It's Sarah on the drums, producing a song called Backseat Driver. No one likes an angry girl, no one likes a liar. No one likes a conversation walking on the wire. I don't know how we got here. Next thing I know, it's all a version of the truth. It got out of control. Feels just like a bad apple, rotten to the core. Couldn't even tell you what the hell I even said that for. I don't know how we got here. Next thing I know, I was disassociated and it got out of control. Shut up, backseat driver, this has gone too far. You've taken up enough space, now get out of my car. There is only one way that this is gonna go. 90 miles an hour flying straight into the wall. 1, 2, 3, la 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 la. I wouldn't trust me either. La 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 la. I wouldn't trust me either. Cause I get scared of losing your affection every time something turns me in the wrong direction. Oh, would you still love me if you knew what's on my mind? I say shut up, backseat driver, this has gone too far. You've taken up enough space, now get out of my car. I don't wanna do this the only way I know. Flying through my teeth and diving straight into the wall. La 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 la. I wouldn't trust me either. La 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 la. I wouldn't trust me. I don't know how we got here. Next thing I know, it's a version of the truth and it got out of control. Don't know how we got here. Next thing I know, it's a version of the truth and I wouldn't trust me either.
Live for World Cafe, Orla Gartland performing Backseat Driver from her new album, Everybody Needs a Hero. I'm Raina Douris. Orla Gartland is my guest today. Orla, welcome to the World Cafe.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. We're going to get into the new album in a minute, but I want to start at the beginning because you've been playing music for a very long time.
Absolutely.
What was your very first instrument?
My very first instrument was the fiddle. Super Irish of me. Same instrument as a violin, but I feel it's sort of much more like colloquial and, very, very Celtic in my mind, the fiddle. So yeah, I learned in like a very informal way, jigs and reels, like super Irish. And I loved it. But I also really thought that you held it like a guitar. Like I started playing when I was like 4 or 5 and I really thought you held it like a guitar. So when I did actually eventually play guitar, I felt like I was kind of like, pursuing the original dream.
Why was guitar the thing that appealed to you?
I love that you can perform standing up with guitar. I've always really liked that. I feel like you can move about. I feel like it's very dynamic. And also musically, like a guitar holds so much information. I find it really interesting as a tool because it has like rhythm, it has melody, it has harmony with the chords. Like it's the ultimate like solo instrument for me. And I play a little bit of keys. It's not really my instrument, but when I do, I feel really chained to this station. I find it like, I feel a bit like a caged animal or something. Whereas with guitar, I enjoy trashing around a bit.
You can roam.
I can roam, exactly.
Do you remember what the first song was that you learned to play, that you taught yourself or that you were taught on guitar?
That's a really good question. I remember, again, learning quite informally. Like I have no kind of formal music education or theory, really. It was all kind of chords. I think there's a song called Horse with No Name, you know?
By America?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that song.
It's a good one because I think it's E minor and then a sort of version of A that's like very similar to E minor. And so it's a nice little 2-chord ditty to get you started. And I think that was the first one, which is quite like an old man song to play. I would have been like 12 at the time, just going, Horse with No Name, it felt great, you know?
The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name because there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
So that was a bit of a Horse with No Name by America. One of the first songs, if not the first song, my guest today learned on guitar. I'm talking to Orla Gartland. It's World Cafe. So you learned the guitar, you taught yourself the guitar, and then you started posting songs on YouTube when you were around 13 years old.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to be playing guitar in your room. It's another thing to put them out into the world, these songs and covers and stuff that you were doing.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to start posting them?
It felt very early internet back then in the sort of tumbleweed dark ages. And I would say that putting up songs and covers as a musician now is second nature, right? Everyone does it. But I do feel at that time that there was something very strange and new about it in a way that really excited me. And that was me as a fan of other artists. Like there were people that I was watching upload covers. I think as a like culture, or at least in Ireland where I grew up, like I felt like we were just coming out of kind of the X Factor, and a lot of like very polished, put together kind of pop things were happening. And then as a sort of like 12, 13-year-old, I definitely felt like a deep craving for something a bit more real than that. And I wasn't finding it on the radio, but I was finding it on YouTube. I was watching these people like, chat before their videos, really informal and unfiltered. People singing in their bathrooms because the reverb was nicer. People cursing, loads of their personality coming through, very lo-fi in its like audio experience, but that didn't really matter. There was just like infinite charm and so many of the people I was watching. So I think it wasn't a hugely considered thing. I just wanted to basically like invite myself to that party because there were so many people I loved doing that. And I also was just starting to write songs, couldn't get into any like open mics near me because they're all in pubs.
Right.
So it was kind of functional in that way as well. I was like desperate for a bit of feedback because I was largely like self-taught, and I had been playing guitar like really not that long before I decided to just put myself out there. But I think that's kind of the confidence you have at that age is so sweet in a way. I was like, I've been playing guitar for 2 months and the world must hear this. So yeah, the initial reactions were good. I never had like a viral moment or one big overnight moment. It was very slow and steady, but very positive. And the novelty at that point of someone from the States or the Philippines like commenting on a video you put up only half an hour after you posted it, like again, I think we take that kind of thing for granted now, but at the time my mind was completely blown by the concept of that reach.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the promise of the early internet. It was like, you'll be able to play chess with your friend in Japan.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it's
felt
so
like the
amazing.
musical
Yeah.
equivalent of that. I was just like, I can't believe this. I can busk in the streets in Dublin like I often did, and I can play to the passing traffic, or I can go online and do the equivalent of playing to the passing traffic and kind of screaming my name into the void, but reach people who that I wouldn't reach otherwise.
Take us to the streets of Dublin where you would busk when
Yes.
you were young. Could you set the scene for us? For the American listeners who maybe have never been to Dublin, where were you? What was it like where you were busking?
Yes, I'd love to. So Grafton Street and Temple Bar are two areas in Dublin where most of the busking takes place. Grafton Street's quite a busy, pedestrianised street on the south side of the city, as Dublin is separated by the Liffey, which is the river. And then Temple Bar is a kind of cuter, more kind of cobbled area. And that was my favorite place to busk because there's this one corner that kind of acts as a really natural stage. It's just whatever way the lanes kind of meet. There's one spot that's every busker's like favorite spot in Dublin, and you got to, get up really early to get it. And I used to busk with two friends of mine, two brothers, and in a band called Hudson Taylor. And I was quite young at the time when I started, maybe 15, 16. And they kind of took me under their wing. They were very seasoned buskers. And I started by playing with them, singing harmonies with them. We often wouldn't really have any like amplification. So it was kind of just about yelling like as loud as you could. And yeah, I think between us, we just kind of learned what songs worked and doing various covers. And sometimes people would stop. Sometimes people would kind of sit down on the ground. And it's just my first experience of like playing to people, and really good kind of confidence building experience, because again, those people haven't paid to see you. And a lot of people walking by, they don't want to hear you. So there's something that it does to your confidence that I think is quite good. You kind of, it's character building basically, but I mean it in quite a good way. It was great. It was a great time.
Let me quickly reintroduce you. I'm talking to Orla Gartland on World Cafe. We're going to hear you perform Little Chaos.
Yes.
Your lyrics in this song see you embracing, being yourself, especially with somebody you love, showing flaws and all. How did you think about expressing those ideas through the music itself?
Yeah, I think it's almost quite basic in a way. It's like a song about being very, very loud, showing up in a very loud and kind of proud way, whatever that means for you. And so it made sense for the music to kind of have a lot of volume and have a lot of like a quite gritty, like abrasive elements. Like the guitar tones are like, it's almost like it's verging on obnoxious, and it's definitely like very loud and confident in the way that the person singing the song or me like wants to be in that moment. So it does mirror itself in like quite a clear way, I think. But yeah, it's like you said, very much a song about wanting to not round any of your edges off and show up just to someone like a partner or anyone, or just show up in the world as your fullest self, like flaws and all,
Well, let's hear it. This is Orla Gartland with Little Chaos, live for the World Cafe.
Too loud. Wish that you could make all my decisions for me. Pick me up, take me home, turn me off, turn me on. I'm your friend, I'm your girl, I'm your little cat. Little cat. I struggle showing just how much I really love you. You can thank my mom for that. I can't promise I'll never freak out, no. I'll try not be let down. Nothing great is ever easy. Pick me up, take me home, turn me off, turn me on. I'm your friend, I'm your girl, I'm your little chaos. Little louder for the ones in the back. Took a laugh, took a look, took a ride. They room in your life for a little cat. If you really want me, if you really want me, if you really want me, take me as I am. If you really want me, if you really want me, if you really want me, take me as I am. If you really want me, if you really want me, if you really want me, take me as I am. Pick me up, take me home, turn me off, turn me on. I'm your friend, I'm your girl, I'm your little chaos. Pick me up, take me home, turn me up, turn me on. I'm your friend, I'm your girl, I'm your little cat. And one last time for the ones in the back. Took a left, to the left, took a right. At the curve is the room in your life for a little cat.
performed live for the World Cafe. That was Little Chaos from Orla Gartland. She's my guest today. I'm Raina Douris, and Orla's new album is called Everybody Needs a Hero. And you co-produced the album. You were involved in the mixing and the mastering. Why did you want to be involved in that side of making the record?
Yeah, I just really love it. I feel like there's not enough girls in that space. It's so easy to hand the reins off, and Tom and Pete, who I co-produced the album with, are amazing. Like, they make so much space for me. They push me to the front whenever they can. They always they remind me I'm the boss, in like a really special way. But I think it's kind of, the production is a tool and like a language in a way, and I was finding it frustrating, almost like when you're like a toddler and you can't quite find the right words for something. Like when I was much earlier in my musical journey and I was handing off the reins production wise, I was feeling a lot like that. I was feeling a lot of it doesn't sound how I want, but I don't know why. And so arming myself with initially just the right language to describe to someone else what I want, and then eventually the tools to actually execute some of it myself was just very empowering and felt very natural in a way. And I think any artists who are having a similar struggle, I would really encourage to just arm themselves with a couple of production skills. You don't have to be the only producer on there. That can be a lot of pressure for people. Not all artists are very techie people. I'm not a particularly techie person, but I will say it's just given me a lot more confidence, and it's very satisfying to have an idea and then just see it all the way through. There's just something so farm to table about that to me.
My guest today is Orla Gartland on World Cafe. Outside of your solo work, you play with the band Fizz.
Yes.
You've written songs for other artists. You even have a co-writing credit on the BTS song 134340, which that's wild to have a co-writing credit on a BTS song. How did you end up writing for BTS?
Yeah, it's a really, it's a random fact about me. I feel like my party trick is whipping that one out. How did I? So Martin, who is in Fizz with me, one of my best friends in London, and we were just trying a bit of co-writing. I haven't done a huge amount of writing for the people. It's something I'd love to get into properly when things calm down with my project. But it was just really fun. They were sending around, a couple of backing tracks. Me and Martin had a day where we just wrote a top line to it together. Had loads of fun. We were living together at the time, so we were just in his bedroom with a couple of mics, trying things, and then a portion of what we wrote and got sort of mashed up with others. And it was a really interesting process to see, because we sent away our bunch of ideas, and about a year later I'd completely forgotten about it, and someone got back in touch and said, oh, you're going to be on a BTS song. So I was fairly far removed from what came out at the end, but it was really cool to just be a part of something big like that. And I also really commended the team around that band, the size that they're at, the fact that someone like me even got a look in, I thought was so cool. I felt like that band could have the top people, and the fact that they were up for these two kids from London just being on this track, I just thought that was so cool. I thought it was so nice that we even got a chance to do it.
It must have been really cool to hear it when it was done. And
of course, and obviously it gets translated into Korean, so that's what I mean about I was so far removed from what I heard back at the end. I could recognize some of the melodies that we did, but it goes through so many different processes, and being privy to that and trying to understand it gets translated at this point, and it's just so interesting.
Orla Gartland is hanging out here on the World Cafe with me, Raina Douris. And the term indie artist can have a lot of different implications to different people, but you really are truly an independent artist. You have your own label. You are self-funded. Why? I feel like at this point you've had a lot of success, enough for other labels to come knocking on your door. Why was staying independent something that was important to you?
Yeah, not unlike how we spoke about earlier with production. I feel like less cooks in the kitchen makes for truer art. And the same could be said, I think, of labels. I think a lot of artists are different and doing things independently. I almost want to I always want to have a good disclaimer that it's like it's not for everyone. Like it's so much work. It suits me because I love to never sleep. But you have to, as an artist in a space, especially if you're kind of ambitious with what you want to do, you have to wear so many different hats to make up for the much smaller team that you'll have. But yeah, it's always just felt right. And I have a Patreon called my Secret Demo Club, which is, about 900 or 1,000 odd people who are kind of my core gang, my inner circle. And I've been doing that for about 7 years. I upload a demo every month that those people get. And they, it's a subscriber based thing. And that like bunch of money is basically what I use to fund touring, recording, like plugging the gaps of what I would otherwise not be able to afford. So it's me on my own in one sense. It's a small team, but then in another, I've got the like backing both financially, but also like emotionally of that group of people who are giving me feedback on early demos, which then go on to become the final version. So it's like, it feels like a big thing in a way. It feels like they're my label, those people. And so it's I don't feel so like isolated in it. Sometimes it actually feels like a lot of people are behind me, especially in that group.
That is so cool. That's so interesting to me because it is hard to be an artist. It's always been hard to be an artist and make a living, but it's only gotten harder, it seems like. And that's such an interesting model. And I wanted to talk about, this is your first tour in the States.
Yeah.
You sold it out. They've had to move some of the shows into bigger venues because you sold it out so much that they had to move them. But I know you have been open about how financially a tour like this is difficult. Could you talk about some of the challenges involved in touring, especially here in 2024?
Of course. Yeah. So obviously coming over from Europe, visas, big costs. Yeah, your country's hard to get into in that sense. So, band and crew visas for me, all of that would have been a lot. Luckily, we can use them over a few tours, but that was definitely a big expense. And I think like a lot of people would have experienced in their business and also in their life, the cost of everything has just gone up the last couple of years. So that the way that affects touring is that accommodation is very expensive. Traveling around is very expensive. And the show fees that you get, granted, are better here than in Europe, but they don't necessarily reflect how much those other expenses have gone up. And also, you've got to, as the artist, pay your band and crew their wages. So it's a lot. Like I am definitely due to lose tens of thousands on this run, and it's already absolutely worth it. And it's a risk I can take, again, because of the people I spoke about there, because I've been sensible with that money and because I've saved up. But it's not to say that nothing should change. Like it's verging on impossible to tour at this level, I would say, for artists. And how we fix that, I don't necessarily have all the solutions, but there's just something in that system feels very, very broken at the moment to me.
Yeah.
And I think touring at this level, I love to see a band in a 250 cap venue and a 500 cap venue, but I think getting the chance to see especially international artists in spaces like that are just, they're going to die out if something doesn't change. And I really hate to see, personally, I hate to see that responsibility being put on the people who buy the tickets. Just making the tickets more expensive doesn't feel good. And it's, again, it's my choice, but we're playing, a lot of these shows are $20 tickets, and I've had a lot of people say, well, why don't you just triple that and cut your losses? And I want my shows to be accessible, especially because I've not toured here before. Like I want people who've waited a long time to be able to afford to come. So how little of the the ticket money actually makes its way to the artist at the end of the day, like that's to me where something feels quite broken. So delighted to be here, and it doesn't dampen the moment, but it's definitely something I feel very passionate about, and I really wish it was easier for artists in that way.
I'm speaking with Orla Gartland. Her new album is called Everybody Needs a Hero. This is World Cafe. And the last song that we're going to hear play is one that I know somebody who was at your show last night, and they reported back to me and told me that this made people cry in the audience. We're talking about live shows. And it feels like it might be a difficult one to play live over and over again. It's called Mine. What could you tell us about Mine?
Yeah, it's a song that when people relate to it, I feel like I connect with them in that moment, but I'm also like, oh, I'm sorry that you understand it. You know, it's a lot about just autonomy and intimacy and learning to just like recognize that your body is yours and yours alone, which is not an exclusively female experience, but I think is often a female experience. And it's been like so powerful to play in these rooms. Like there's a line at the end that's like, yeah, you look me dead in the eyes and I realized that my body was mine. It is ultimately like an empowering song. It's not, it's sad in its story, but it does end on a hopeful note, which is just like realizing that, you know, something that might have happened to you shouldn't have happened and that you can move forward, like knowing that. And so it's been really powerful, like singing that line in these rooms the last couple days. Like sometimes people give this like really guttural cheer when that line comes out. And it's like, it's so nice that artists or the audiences have been so respectful and like treated this song with the care that I really hoped for it when I put it out.
It's beautiful. We're going to listen to it now. This is Mine from Orla Gartland live on the World Cafe.
You're just a boy, and I've heard about boys. Yeah, you take what you want and you leave us in pieces. I was an optimist. He said it seemed like I wanted it. Oh, and ever since then, it's felt like a weakness. Now, it's not easy to do. It's taken me 28 years to let anyone touch me the way I let you. Kiss me slowly, but not so gently. Oh, whisper a word in my ear like a secret. Melted like butter. Oh, manipulation dressed up like a lover. Rewrite the rules and start from scratch again. Now, it's not easy to do. It's taken me 28 years to let anyone touch me the way I let you. I still remember the time you looked me dead in the eyes, and I realized that my body was mine. Last night I smoked a cigarette. My dad would have been so upset. Then we got tattoos by the coast. and I just stood there like a ghost. Maybe I'm an old soul trapped in a young body. Maybe you don't really want me there at your birthday party. I'll be there in the corner, thinking right over every single word of the conversation we just had. So why am I like this? 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 I saw a girl crying on the train, gin and tonic from a can of East Pay. And I never asked if she was okay. She just got up and walked away. Oh, it's like I'm looking down from the ceiling above, never in the moment, never giving enough. Let's go out and shout the words we never said. I got my mistakes on loop inside my head, inside my head. Why am I like this? 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 Maybe I've been fooled so much I've been young, sweaty. Maybe you don't really want me like this. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Maybe I've been fooled so much I've been young, sweaty. Maybe you don't really want me like this.
Orla Gartland live for the World Cafe. And Orla Gartland has been my guest today on World Cafe. Orla, thank you so much for being here. It's been really, really nice talking to you.
Thank you so much. I've loved it.
Me too. I'm Raina Douris, back in a moment with more World Cafe.
Pick me up, take me home, turn me off, I'm your friend, I'm your girl, I'm your little cat. Little cat. I struggle showing just how much I really love you, and you can't